This panel is called Pulling Together the Show. So this is everything to do with stagecraft, and I'm probably going to use that word quite a lot, and I'm not talking about Auckland Theatre Company's Romeo and Juliet. I'm talking about anything that involves the transmission of a story, and yes, that includes music, to an audience. I'm also probably going to use the word space a lot, and it doesn't necessarily mean something with four walls, although that's not exclusive of that. It's that space between the performer and the audience member. I'm also going to be really cruel to my panel because it's stacked, and honestly, I'm breaking into a flop sweat from being a massive fan, just being next to all four of them. I'm going to make them introduce themselves, as well as their title, what they do, and a difficult third thing, the last time they, as an audience member, were blown away by someone else's stagecraft. Let's start with you, Laughton.
Kia ora whānau. My name's Laughton Kora. I'm a storyteller. That's pretty much it, really, man. I'm just a storyteller. I'll use anything to get my story across. Music, dance, lights, shapes. Massive fan of manipulating space. So that's what I do. And what was the best show?
Whenever you were last blown away by somebody's stagecraft. Can be recently, can be your top 10, can be whatever.
Sure.
I think I pained Laughton with this question.
It does a little. I graduated as an actor as well, so I went and saw heaps of weird shit, which is cool. Like lots of naked shows, but poor craft, you know. Rammstein, really cool. What I love about Rammstein is that who they are, or their brand, was super clear. And then the production that went into it, so, you know, like $3.5 million production, but the timing and the organising of that from not just the band, but from the lighting guys, the stage crew, the safety standard crew as well. You know, the floor was reflective. Yeah, but again, I've also sat in a little cafe in Italy and just watched some 11-year-old shredding on a violin. You know, high technique. There's heaps, yeah.
Both excellent answers. Amelia.
Kia ora. I'm Amelia Murray. I have a music project called Fazerdaze. I started this project in my bedroom and found myself playing live shows and making all the mistakes along the way. And I've been doing this for 10 years now. Been lucky enough to be doing it for 10 years, and I love it. And it's a lot of hard work, but a lot of great people. And the last time I was blown away by a show. Yeah, I mean, this was kind of recently, but I was lucky enough to tour with Lorde, and seeing her show 6 nights in a row was really, I just learned so much from her and her stagecraft, and just everything from the scope of what she was doing with props and movement and dance and lighting, to just how she empowered her team and cared about the tiniest little details. It was so incredible to watch that as a fan, but also get to see a bit behind the scenes of how she puts it, throws it all together and leads this giant thing, you know. So so that was maybe the most recent time I was actually, absolutely blown away by a show.
It's pretty incredible to have been able to see both sides of that as well, and to know how long that process would have been and how many things were thought about from conception.
Yeah, absolutely. Like she was even telling me, like, there was one person's job to move the stage and like just rotate the platform she was on, and that was their whole job for every night of the tour. And she told me that, like, it might seem like a really little detail, but it was really important to her to empower them, to let them know like how important it was to her. And so it was really cool, such a special experience.
If you don't know what we're talking about, one of Lorde's last tours had, I'm going to make it sound awful, but it was very important and beautiful. Basically a huge lazy Susan in the middle of the stage, which had to be quite specific in the way it was turned. It could be a health and safety nightmare, but when it works properly, it's the turning of the planets, it's the universe, it's everything. Rowan, how about you?
Kia ora, I'm Rowan. I'm a designer, so sonographer, lighting designer, set designer, kind of show designer. So my craft is thinking about the overall kind of impact of the show from a visceral or design point of view. A bit of background, I played music for quite a long time, but now I don't play so much music, but I love music. And I work in the dance space, like with contemporary dance, theatre a little bit, kind of that kind of live performance spaces, and music sometimes. And but I love it. Last thing I was blown away by, that's such a tough question. There's an artist called MFO Lightspace. There's the first space. Was that the first space? Word space? No, I don't know.
The first one other than me, yeah, if anyone's counting.
Who does work out of, I think, Toronto, Australia. And he, and just the way they use light and space is so beautiful and minimal. Like, it can be, it's not a big, huge production, but just the way it's applied is so beautiful. I'd recommend checking them out.
What was that name again?
MFO Lightspace.
Did you all write that down?
See beautiful stuff online.
Thank you. Shaq, how about you?
Kia ora. I'm Shaquille Wasasala. I also am known as HalfQueen. I'm a DJ and sometimes do parties called Filth. So I guess sometimes promoter. Yeah. The last time I was blown away by a show, I went to a dark room, which was at the comedy festival, and the man who does it, his name's John Robertson. He's from Australia, and it's kind of like this live video game theatre sort of comedy experience, and just the way he commanded everybody to follow him into the depths of the dark room was pretty amazing. Yeah, that would be it for sure. Or Slipknot, which was at Spark Arena a couple months ago.
We bookended with a Rammstein and a Slipknot.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting to me because those are huge productions, a lot of money, but every single aspect, it's almost a theatrical production. There's also a lot of costuming. We can only truly be our artistic selves if we're wearing masks and we've got lots of sadomasochism gear on. All of those aspects of performance. Swords, yeah, big health and safety if you've got swords involved, obviously. You're all also here because the wonderful Rachel Ashby and the Music Commission have noticed that you've been making things where stagecraft has been there from conception, from the artistic conception of a tour. Some of your work with Womb recently and your installation at Portnoy's, creating a club night from the ground up, deciding how to tour an album which was difficult enough to make, let alone play live to the public, and maybe like all of the 8 jobs that you do currently, particularly with Fly My Pretty's Elemental, for which you are, is this right, co-director and music director. Elements of performance are there at day one. So how do you start incorporating what is this going to be like live? Let's start with Fly My Pretties because that's something you're currently doing or just...
I don't know. I just think, for me, I look at the brand. First thing I do when I'm working with artists is who are you? And then how do you want to be seen? The sooner you clear that up, in my view, the sooner you're able to conduct the way you conduct, right? Your brand for me, especially in this room for being musicians, is your music. And then we dress it with everything else, fashion, content. So I start there. Who are you and how do you want to be seen? Once we figure that out, then we can start. It'll affect the budget as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, I want to be a commando, 6 helicopters. You're like, sweet, got an easy 5 mil. You know what I mean? If you're like, I want to be seen as an activist, like Rhea Hall. You might want to be seen as a great entertainer, like Stan Walker. Or somebody who's going through their favorite genres, Troy Kingi, 10 albums. So be clear about that. And then for me, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You start finding the people that you engage with, connect with quicker. Hey, I want to be seen this way, and I've got these ideas. And they're like, oh, cool, I've got something. And then you might start going into the world of collaboration as well, which is what these forums are about, which are incredible, by the way. That's where I start. Yeah.
I just want to say I love that. I feel like I'm learning so much up here. So.
What if you are starting out in your career and that question is harder to answer? What if you don't quite know how you want an audience to see you? What if you're still figuring that out?
Yeah, listen to somebody else and gig more. Gig more, man. Play more. Play anywhere. Play to anyone. Who cares? Because the other thing is like you'll start figuring out who you are. Right? We all start out with covers. Great, man. And then you start to say, like, I don't want to sound like this person anymore or this artist. And then the true you starts to get revealed, eh? And that's through doing. For those of you who play sports, it's like, let's take rugby, for instance. You can practice all you want, but you've got to play the game to figure out who you really are. So just get amongst it, man. Even if you like only play drum and bass, I'll be like, what if I gave you 5K to play country? Country it is, you know. And then, well, what it does, it starts expanding your bandwidth of your capability as well. Don't be afraid to try everything. And then, of course, we can start talking about authenticity and stuff. But yeah, gig more. Create more.
It's all pretty profound and accurate stuff. Amelia, you've often spoken about music as something you can't help but do. So you're already doing it. And sometimes the presenting it to the world is the hard part.
Totally. For me, yeah.
There's a lot of seeming contradiction in your last LP. Soft Power seems like a contradiction in terms, unless you've read the art strategy document. And so sorry, that's now associated with the name of your album. You've also described the songs on Soft Power as bedroom stadium music. How can you, that's a great description. How do you go about taking that into a live stadium? How do you give it that Amelia Fazerdaze bedroom vibe?
Yeah, well, I'm not in the stadiums yet. But
El Rey's pretty big in LA, yeah? But yeah, not a stadium.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like I was saying earlier, I started this project in my bedroom and yeah, getting to adapt it to a live show has been a big journey. Just, I'm so introverted. I love to just hang out by myself in my room. And yeah, sorry, what was the question again? Sorry.
When it is a seemingly contradictory record, how do you end up going, right, I got to play this live to people? Where do you start in that process?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was what Laughton was saying. Like, I try to think about why I'm doing this and who I am and what I want to give on my live shows. And I mean, in a practical sense, I always start a tour or a show with a mood board. Yeah, and just like start in a more dreamy place. Like, what are the colors and like what are the feelings I want to emanate, and how do I want my audience to feel, and what do I want to feel up there? I guess I do like a Pinterest board, and then I usually do like a big brainstorm in my notebook of like everything on my mind. It'll be like, need to get this cable to like, this could be a cool prop, and I just like put it all out and just try to, just get everything that's in my head of like what I want to communicate into some sort of document, and then I kind of tidy up that document, and then I'll share that with my, if I have a manager, like that person, or my bandmates, and kind of just slowly condense down the feeling into a more like practical, like, oh, okay, like this is the feeling I want to portray or emanate, and then what are some like little things I can do to like take steps forward in that direction. And yeah, so I start in a really dreamy place and then pull it into a kind of practical thing of like, what's the budget and what are the realities of the venue and my capacity, and yeah, so that's kind of how I start it. And then I guess with just generally being more introverted, I try to see what I'm doing as a service, and it helps me get out of the way. I'm still really working on that, but like just try to think like, what experience do I want to share with people and give to people? That helps me pull it out into the real world.
That's awesome. Thank you. Rowan, you were recently involved from the ground up in the recent Womb album release tour for the beautiful album. One is always heading somewhere. Please buy it immediately.
Do buy it.
Oh my
I think
gosh.
some Woomies are in the house. Shout out to the Woomies.
Where did you start with that? Because you've collaborated with members of that band before. You're not strangers to one another. There's obviously trust there. How did that process start out?
Yeah, we were friends from a few years back in Wellington, used to live in Wellington, and I've always loved their music. That was the first and foremost thing. I hadn't done a design for a music show in a while, but I just absolutely adore their music. So it was just so easy to approach it and give fluidly to the process. So I approached them about doing a design for the shows, and then from from there we worked together so fluidly. I mean, they're such amazing collaborators, so positive and so open, and I think just the connection to the music from my point of view is just made it so easy. So from there we draw up a design for like the show here. I mean, in venues like, similar to this size, was that double whammy, and kind of implemented it there. And then I wasn't able to go to the other venues, so in Wellington we got someone up here to operate it or implement the design, or so that then they could take it to Wellington and kind of play it out. So as though we kind of focused on just those two main centres to really do the design, and then for the rest of the tour, where they had local operators, local crew, it was more of a mood board, kind of delivered just a bit of a mood board to the people that were on the ground locally, and they could do what they could with that. Yeah, that's.
So for the uninitiated, when you say you're sending through plans, what does that look like? It's a lighting plot. It's here's what I want as the backdrop. What were you sending through at that initial stage?
They came through a little bit later than I think we would have liked. I was a bit slow on the process, but that was lighting plans, stage plans. I mean, in this context, there was a little bit of local previs, which is 3D environments in the computer just to see what the lights and stuff are going to look like. But primarily, if you draw it down to it, is like getting a drawing or a map of the stage, and then drawing out what the design is going to be on that to communicate. Yeah. That's pretty broad.
No, this makes perfect sense. Thank you. Shaq, a lot of your life currently, especially overseas, is fitting into other people's spaces, to other people's festivals, to other people's club nights. How do you find doing that when you know you've created something from the ground up?
I think it's just because I've done something similar. I know what it's giving to put on a show like that. I think like as a performer, being open and flexible, and like, I might not have had the stage like that, or like going in or being like, holy hell, I never thought about it like that. I think just having an open fluidity when you approach it, and then as you perform, maintaining like the reason why they came to see you, it's because they can already, the energy emanates through the internet, through a screen, through something. You just have to maintain that somehow, and like maintain the intimacy that they, think that they're going to get. I don't know if that even answers the question, but yeah, it's just being open. That would be it, probably. Yeah,
And I know you've spoken a lot about your truly iconic club night, Filth. Thank you so much for all of that it has given to Tamaki. Started in 2018. It's grown a lot. It's changed. There are good things and bad things that happen with growth. Where is Filth with you now? Where is creating those spaces with you now?
I think it's really temperamental. I think also it comes with like, we started that, what is that? How old is that? 8 years. I'm like trying to do the math. And 8 years ago, I was a very different person. And like my needs were different to what they are now. I'm older. I'm like more experienced. I'm not like seeking the same sort of experience that I wanted when I was that age. So Filth naturally had to like change and evolve with us. Now we are serving a different kind of like need, and we're trying to figure out, currently we're still working out who the audience is, because, you know, the original Filth Sweeties are all like have moved to Melbourne, or like, you know, have like grown up and aren't trying to like shake their ass in the club anymore. But there is a new generation of people who need that and want that. And then it's just like, I guess, reconciling the difference of like, I don't need this, so it's not about me anymore, it's about them. How do I like keep that going? How do I like remain connected and like being of service still? Yeah, because it's hard to like when you're like, oh my God, Filth just ain't that girl anymore, but to someone she is, and I'm like, I need to, you know, keep trying. But then also it is also like hang it up when it's time to hang it up.
You've all been in situations where you're either creating work for very different audiences, if you're a gigging sonographer, or touring different albums, or completely different bands, or changing as you yourself and your audience change. How do you keep that connection with the audience? How do you trust yourself that you are doing the right thing? Anyone jump in that really easy question?
Authenticity for me. It'll always work, I think. Yeah. And like, also, how much do you want to tell stories? What's the urge there? Eh? So quite often I'll go back and look at why. I'll ask myself why. And a lot of it's because I love it. But I think my reason for staying in is I want to be forever a student. So, you know, when we're talking about shifting audiences, way different from 10 years ago, the new audience, say, and it's kind of like, cool, what can we manipulate here, you know?
Talking to a musician the other day who is ridiculously young and sprightly for their 50 years of age. Not that there's anything wrong with being 50. I said, what's your secret? Come on, like, got to bottle this stuff. And they went, I always keep myself amused. I was like, in your work and your art, that's pretty cool. Okay, mint.
My school report was I was easily distracted. So, yeah.
I mean, there's a beauty in that. There's an authenticity in that. We've danced around in a joking way, money. And I'm sure for a lot of people in this room, money is going to be a parameter that you cannot avoid when you're trying to put gigs on. What have you learned with regards to staying true to the gig you want to put on, staying true to your audience, but also, I just don't have enough coin?
I mean, this is something I'm learning about all the time, because I can be so fixated on putting on the perfect show, like, and forgetting about the numbers and the realities of that. And, you know, it's not sustainable for me to. It's fun. Yeah. It's really fun to get the helicopter or whatever. But yeah, so this has been a big journey of mine, is like constantly you make a creative decision like, oh, it'd be great to get like hire these lights or this person, but then I've got to constantly remind myself to look back at the budget and be really realistic, and then some, like, because stuff always, from my experience, inflates.
What do we call that? Contingency.
Yeah, always have that in the budget, contingency. So yeah, I guess just trying to find that balance between your vision and being creative as well. Like, oh, this is my ideal. Like, how can we take a few, how can we do the cheaper option and still make it effective? There is a lot you can do with just being creative and, working with your friends who help out and pull a few favors there is, from what I'm learning, is there's always a cheaper option that can still have an amazing visual effect or sonic effect or whatever. That's what I'm finding anyway.
Do any of you have anything particular with regards to self-costume and performance? Because I know there's a presentation of self. There's also a presentation of the artist, whatever that authentically is. But sometimes you're putting on a lot of layers to make that presentation, which can be huge amounts of fun. It can protect your anonymity, like Rammstein and Slipknot, or it can be something that you get judged really harshly for. Did you all catch that? Laughton said, "Who cares?" I'm on board.
Far out, yeah. So I looked at myself, what am I as an artist? So I'm a ninja. And, cause, ninjas are killers. And I'm everywhere, but nobody knows that. My marketing is, I don't do any social media. Like I'm such a bad PR rap. But that's how I want to be seen. Do you know what I mean? So I'll go out and kill as many people as I can without anyone knowing. Does that help?
Yeah.
So I dress anime, hard out, cartoon,
Yeah.
swords, lightsabers, spaceships, dragons.
You've also experimented a great deal in how you present yourself on stage, also because that's often the only thing you can bring to a club night if it's somebody else's. You are bringing this, and then you're bringing what you have on your USB. So do you approach that still in a playful way? Is it ever have you gotten in your head about it, or you're like, whatever, I bring what I bring?
I've had many mental breakdowns about outfits before, for sure. But I think also most of the shows we operate in are in nightlife, and I think with that comes like an element of like play and safety and experimentation with how you identify and how you present. And I think, places and spaces like Filth give the audience permission to do that too. So a lot of the time when I'm like, I just want to go and do my gig in a t-shirt and jeans, I'm like, no, because how I present gives that person permission to access that part of themselves as well. And I think sometimes you just want to invite people to participate. So if I'm coming to the gig looking like this, even though this is fab, I'm like, I want to step it up so that other people can access that too. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Speaking about the location, when you are having to rent another location which you have not created from the ground up yourself, what are some lessons you've all learned the hard way, questions you didn't ask the venue that you'd wished you'd asked, or things you'd wished you'd insisted upon the venue having that you only have learned by doing, that we can give to this crowd as a gift?
Well, I mean, it's always good to start by asking what the venue specs are and what lighting have they got. I mean, I often just Google, try to find an image of the space. That always helps me as well as a performer to just picture the stage I'll be playing on. But yeah, so sometimes venues have projectors or a haze machine or extra lights that you can hire. So yeah, I guess I start there and just really just try to suss the venue as much as possible, and then try to think how I can bring myself and my team into that and collaborate with what they've got and our budget. And I don't know, every show is so different, and every venue is so different. Sometimes you're playing an outdoor stage in the sun, so maybe lights might not be as crucial. Yeah, so I guess just really thinking of the environment, that you're going to be performing in, getting as much information as possible. And just thinking about things like the stage size and the stage plot, and does that kind of...
Totally. And also, I guess the knowing from your trusted other members of the music community, we felt really welcome there. You're more likely to go back there if there is a buzz about a venue being good to artists, and in particular artists' audiences, which I think is another side that when you're putting together a gig, you find out the hard way if audiences haven't been treated well by venue staff or security staff or things like that. Just staying on the down buzz tip.
I'm interested, like, what you come up against with going into venues, because you basically do fit outs.
Yeah, I mean, looking at what, like the first thing would be looking at what the venue has from my point of view in terms of lighting and things like that. And then, I mean, as we talked about budget, and obviously budget is a huge thing in terms of being able to hire things in or kind of do that. But it can be really minimal, because often I find that if you're going into a venue, even just bringing something of yourself to that venue can just help take ownership, because I feel like often you're touring or a touring musician or going into venues and you're kind of at the whim of the venue and it kind of drives and pockets you. But if you can just have one thing that you're bringing in, that you're like, oh, we're going to bring this thing in and put it in and then use your rig, but then we've got this thing that is ours and we're kind of putting ourselves into the space of it and we're claiming our space, that I feel like that can make a big difference in terms of owning the space and making it yours. And
That's really solid response. Thank you. I'm just checking. Hello, there's Willa. We got 5 and then we got questions. I know I've already asked you to impart pearls of wisdom to this audience, but you've all toured for such different reasons over such extended periods of time. I just finally wanted to touch on things can be sustainable or unsustainable for many different reasons. How do you keep yourself healthy? How do you avoid burning out yourself? Everybody's pulling the best face. You're pulling the best face, Shaq. I'm going to start with you.
Nature.
That's
for me.
good.
Surfing, archery, golf.
So specific, but so good. So good.
Mean.
I think just like when you're touring heaps too, it's so easy. That's why I made the face, because I'm like, I don't know what it is to be sustainable on tour. That's why I've stopped, because I'm like, I actually don't know, especially when you're not the one booking your flights and stuff, staying at hotels where you get in at 7 and then you have to check out at 10. Like, that's just the reality sometimes of DJing. Don't really know how to be sustainable, but like definitely being in your body, like getting inside in your body. I think like, the surfing, archery, golf, all these things are so like, it's so important. Otherwise you just like don't have a way to be grounded when you're flying all the time and traveling in different time zones and stuff. I would say just being able to ground yourself.
You're all you have left in that situation. You were the only
exactly.
consistent thing.
If you're sick and you can't perform, then you're sick and you can't perform. Like this is the ongoing effect. It's just crazy. So, yeah.
Wait. This is a real serious question, actually, because it'll affect your. For the last 10 years, the word mental health gets thrown around pretty flippantly, really. You need to find what works for you. If it's family that you can lean on, if it's a community, if it's food, you have to learn how to self-gauge or temperature. There isn't really an answer. We can give you all the things that work for us. It's actually really important because you're on the road a lot. If you're in cover bands and in a band, you're probably living in a suitcase 3 to 4 months a year. So there's serious things you need to do. Like our band, Kora, when we used to go on the road, we'd go to the gym for a month because we just wanted to be the best on stage. We didn't try to get buff, but it was just like, we want every show to matter because you're only as good as your last show, right? Especially today. You do a suck thing and someone records it, that's it. It goes viral. So you need that mental capacity to be able to handle that. Map it out, eh? Where am I? What time? The biggest one you want to check out, this is for me, is sound check. What time is sound check? Let's say you're on at 9 o'clock and they're like, you got to be down there at 2. And it's like, well, what are we going to do? Just hang out in the car down at the park for another 5 hours. And that can just rinse you hard. So it's not what you do on the road as well. It's what you do after, eh? And if you want to continue that, what you do before, and if you want to continue that, think about what you want to do after as well. Catch up with your family if you're in a relationship. Be there, be present. Hey, when you're going on the road, for me, it's the road. I'm out to smash people in the face every night. That's all I care about. And then after that, you can come home and, be you. That's a real important question, I reckon, eh? It hurts, man. It can hurt on the road, and you're walking out and you're putting on a facade. You might walk on and you just found out dog died. Like, I don't know, you animal person, like, that's me hard out. You got to keep your shit together, man. So, you know, you're mapping that out. So when you guys are starting out your tour, the main one for me is look at what time is sound check. Because that preparation in between can either kill you or kill you. Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same, like hour to hour on the road. Like every hour is so precious. Like you can stock up on some U time, or you can kind of refill your tank a little bit. And if you don't use that time well, yeah, it can really deplete you really fast.
Especially if you're a singer. You singers out there, hard out, bro. Because like your body is your instrument, right? And if your body's tight, your vocals are they'll be what they are on the night. You can call it character. You can get away with it as well. You know what I mean? If people know your songs, you can get them to sing. You come up with shit, right? But map it out, man.
Yeah, I use Google Calendar. Like I'm like, just because otherwise I get overwhelmed with like how fast the day goes, and I'll literally do like 3 to 4. I've got this time at the venue. I'm gonna like go for a walk 3 to 4. Put that in my calendar, or like I always bring a yoga mat on tour. And just like little like a skipping rope, just little things like that just help me. Like we're about to do this month-long tour with Pixies in the US, and yeah, I'm gonna do the same. Go to the gym leading up to it. So
man,
that
we
I'm
tried
strong.
everything. We did knitting, you know, like just sitting in the van, just check this out, like shitty hat, but it was. What I was saying is, you know, like. Yeah, whatever works for you. Yeah.
This is incredible, and I couldn't have asked a better note to wrap things up on. Do we have any questions for this incredible panel?
Hi. Hi, Amelia. I just wanted to know what has scared you the most about being a performing artist, and have you found a way to turn it into a strength?
Turn it into a strength?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for the question. Yeah, I mean, oh gosh, I mean, it's that same thing of just feeling really shy and sometimes feeling unworthy of being on stage, and like feeling not good enough sometimes. And it's something I'm constantly battling with. But things that have helped me are, I mean, I journal a lot about it and just try to like give that a space to exist, and realize that being shy or being sensitive, they deserve space on the stage. And I guess surrounding myself with people in my band that understand that and support that, and just having a team of people that get that and just kind of hold me through the more shaky moments, and lift me up. And then also always coming back to the why, like, why do I do this, and why do I feel compelled to do this? And always trying to tap back into that when I'm feeling fearful or scared, to just keep going back to the why and the heart and the spirit. Helps me, get out of the anxiety of performing. Yeah, I hope that helps. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna hate me for speaking about this again. So this is a question mainly for Ron, but any of you guys can jump in. When you work with an artist for either a venue or a festival, how do you like alter the design of the show without like cost related wise for the artist, and while keeping them happy?
I mean, often it comes down to you're talking about like a touring show, yeah. Right. It comes down to budget and what's available a lot of the time. There are sometimes you do. I mean, I can talk about this in relation to like dance shows and things like that. I mean, it's all a show's a show, really. It's what's available to you especially when touring, when it gets to budget-wise, and what's available on the ground locally in terms of if they've got the kit that you need to be able to do the design, or what you replace that with. keeping the artists happy is a yeah. It's always a way up, and sometimes it'll go like this, and sometimes it'll go like that. And if the show does go like this one time, you'll know that the next time there'll be an opportunity to do it at its fullness. Yeah, does that answer? Kind of. Thanks. Okay. Okay, great.
Kora. My name is Red Creek, and I'm having a show next week. What started as, I don't know, like a release party in my house. Um, what it started as that, a lot of people jump in, and a lot of communities from, I'm Latina, so a lot of people from the Latin community started to jump in, and I still don't know how that happened. And I just wonder how do you guys step into that power? Like how, Amelia, and you're a DJ, right? How, I love your style, by the way. And free Palestine. Whatever. How do you step into that power? And how do you kind of like, how can I grab that energy that everyone is giving me, for me to not feel like what's going on, and why, like how can I perform in that day, like.
I think just for me, I'm like a fan first and foremost, and like always a dancer on a dance floor. So I think also putting yourself into the person who's coming's shoes. Like, yeah, I'm going to perform, but also I've been on that side. So I know what kind of exchange it's going to be and what's required for the energy. Like, it's a lot for yourself to be out on a stage, and it's, your ego is a thing and how you're presenting is a thing, but like understanding that it's equal exchange, like the audience and the performer, it's the same thing. You're a mirror of each other. So knowing that it's not like, oh my God, it's so, because it is so scary, but it's like, everyone's scared. Everyone's paid into this experience together. I think just understanding that you're the same. It's the same. You're the same thing.
That's really awesome. And yeah, it sounds like you're part of a community that wants to be part of what you want to be part of. So as Shaq says, it seems pretty reciprocal. Thank you for your attentions, and please join me in giving a round of applause to our incredible panel.